Well, let's concentrate then on the elite races, which start shortly. And just moments before the start, what kind of thoughts are swirling around your head before the start? What kind of thoughts? You've got to presumably shut everything out and just concentrate on what you want to do.
You have got to focus, but in the first couple of kilometres is when you really get those answers. Is your body with you today? Are your legs answering the questions that you're going to ask of them? And you don't really know that. You can tell a little bit in warm-up, but a lot of these girls, a lot of these guys will feel bad in warm-up and then feel great once they start racing. So they want to get it underway and feel good.
And Pat, chances of a quick time today in both the men's and the women's events?
I would have thought so. I mean, we talked about the course itself being tweaked, but the start times also have been tweaked. When Haile Gebrselassie ran here, start times also have been here. It was always a 7 o'clock start, and he said it was great for the first hour, but when the sun came up, it really posed him problems. That may be eliminated this year.
Well, we are underway, as you can see, and you can hear a little bit of singing and chanting in the background. We've got the kind of Ethiopian choir fan club, so to speak, in the stand. They're here every year. The early start time doesn't seem to deter them at all. So that's what you could probably pick up. And you can see the flashing, but that's what you could probably pick up. It's almost like something out of a sci-fi film as they head towards us early on. And of course, it's going to be dark for about an hour. Lights are going to start getting lighter around about 7 a.m. So it's going to start getting lighter about 60 minutes time.
That's something they're going to have to manage as well, I think, is the glare of the lights, because when you're looking into a bright light and then you need to look down to a darker road, you're looking into a bright light and then you need to check your footing, check where people are in front of you, and that might pose difficulties in itself. You can also see it's quite foggy, so the humidity is pretty high here at the moment. I was talking to someone last night who was explaining to me that the dew point here is around about 13 degrees. So at that point, it's very, very difficult to sweat efficiently when you're racing, and it's already above that now today. So it is picking up for them, and it is drying out a little bit, but it's still very high and actually quite difficult conditions for marathon running.
Well, what's interesting is 2012, 13 and 14, the race was won by a debutant in the men's, the race on the men's side on each occasion. And my goodness me, that's a slightly faster second kilometre that Paul is just indicating on screen. So yeah, every race director and race promoter wants to think that they've got a world record course. This certainly is a world record course, and it's going to depend very much on how these guys work together.
But that was a quick second kilometre.
I'll just see their third kilometre has popped up 2:53, so it's still very, very fast. They have scaled it back a little bit, but there's probably been some shouts come from behind as well. Ease it back. Interestingly, behind us, these are 3 Kenyan guys pacing for majority of Ethiopian guys racing today. I don't know whether that's significant or not, but the world record is held by a Kenyan. That's Alan Maru that we were talking about earlier in the white vest, now coming onto the shoulder of Tola. And I think he's going to be a really interesting factor in this race. When you jump in and you haven't raced above 10 miles, there are a lot of questions above 10 miles in your mind. But he was down on the start list to race last year, didn't come because he wasn't ready. So clearly he knows what it takes, what the shape he needs to be in, and he knows the training that he's done. So either he's over-committing early in this race, or he is in shape to come here and race very, very well and give Tola a run for his money.
Yeah, and plus also, when you are so inexperienced at this distance, it's not unreasonable to expect you may make some mistakes early on. You have to, you wouldn't be human otherwise.
Exactly, and I think it's a nice position to be in. You can come to the marathon and you can say, okay, I can take some risks here, because if I screw up, and you can say, okay, I can take some risks up. It's my first time and I'm just learning. And let's face it, the way we all learn is to make mistakes.
Well, they've got about another 15 minutes before it's significantly lighter, so you'll get a much clearer view from 7 o'clock onwards local time.
And you can just see every time we come back to this lead pack of men, there's one more guy just tailing off back down the road behind, and that is the car damage that's inevitable really when they go out at the pace that they have done today.
Just moving the photographers out the way, because they don't want to get stampeded by this lot. And there they go. It could take anywhere from 3 hours to maybe 7 or 8 for some of them. 26 miles, 42 kilometres lie ahead.
I think that might have been a little bit of a false start there, but we'll let them away with that.
Who's counting?
With that.
Who's... Well, good luck to each and every one of them. And we're going to be concentrating our coverage on the elite events, which, as far as the men are concerned, they're about halfway, just under halfway in. An hour and a minute on the clock.
Whereas I do think we're going to see some tailing off in this men's race. It has to slow down just because of the sheer pace that they went out at in the first few kilometres and then maintained through the first half of this race.
It'll be a fascinating story that plays out over the next fascinating story, 2.5 years or so, as we head towards Tokyo 2020. Still a very large group of women leading the way, and we're nearly an hour and a half in now. You can see them an hour and approaching the 27-kilometre mark. Burka towards the back with Gudetta.
Sprint in a marathon, I will caution, is not the same as the sprint on a track, and what you have left in your legs in the closing stages of your legs marathon is very, very different to what you might have in the last lap of a 5,000 metres on the track.
So from the women to the men, and our pacemaker seems to be going further away every time we get a shot of the leaders. Further away every time we...
This is when alarm bells might start ringing if you're in that pack there. When you start to get past 25k, I'd say certainly when you get past 30k, if that pacemaker's still out ahead, although he is looking around, he's definitely checking on the pack behind him. But if he stays out that far ahead, this is the point where he's thinking, you know what, should I just carry on? I feel good here, I'm going to just keep going.
Well, there have been several examples of it in the past, you know, whether it has to go to 25k, 30k, or even 35k 5 when the race is supposed to really begin. And, yeah, I mean, what has he got now?
There's Lemmer at the back, who's done well to hang on. Looked like he was struggling a bit earlier.
Well, Taylor did say that he'd like to run under 2:04 this year, which means that he's exactly 30 minutes away from the finish if he's going to prove himself right.
Well, you don't imagine he's going to be far away from it either way. But this is kind of uncharted territory for him, really, in a race of this calibre, with all due respect to the marathon field in Seoul. And he's still right there with, what, less than half an hour to go.
Just over 7 kilometres left to go. Oh, and then Mengistu caused a little bit of trouble as he cut across to try and get his bottle. I think Tola is okay, but he was certainly impeded within that. I'm trying to see, has he got it? Has he managed to pick up his own bottle in the middle of all that fracas? Because I think Mengistu realised a little bit too late. You can see Valentin, one of the managers there, trying to make sure that his athletes have got their drinks bottles as they've come through there. But yeah, I think that maybe crept up on them a little bit, that 35k drink station. A couple of the guys caught unawares and panicked a little bit trying to cut across, and we've seen fallers trying to in the past at drink stations. It can be a tricky and dangerous area to negotiate, and hopefully they've all come through that unscathed.
Well, he looks okay, Tola, but that was a potentially anxious moment. Let's just have another look at it. You can see Tola there on the right into the runner in front of him. It could have been a end of race, basically.
And it still could be significant. I think when you're forced to check yourself, brake and twist as he did there, then that's dangerous for hamstrings that are already starting to cramp up, quads that can be too. So hopefully he's okay. We'll get an idea now in the next couple of kilometres. If damage has been done there, then it will start to show.
So Mengistu up front from Lagesse. Young Ventura in behind. Tola at the back of that pack now. And it must have disrupted his rhythm, even if it hasn't, physically done any damage. Let's hope he can get that rhythm back. He's still in touch, which is the main thing.
Well, I suppose the best example of what looked like a cataclysmic fall was the great Finn cataclysmic Lassie Viren, who actually was bowled over during the Olympic 10,000 metres. The first gold medal that he had won at 10k. He got up, broke the world record and won the gold medal.
Yeah, I remember seeing Alistair Brownlee in a triathlon fall down in South Africa and get up and win. I thought you were going to talk about Zola Budd and Mary Decker-Slaney for a minute, but that wasn't something she was able to recover from.
And of course neither of them won.
Tamirat Tola, and now he's the one asking the questions. And Mengistu looks to be struggling a little bit. Lemma trying to come on the left-hand side of your screen. That's a really good effort from him. Really good. And Garemu on the right, also looking good. This is good. This could be an absolute thrilling finish here.
This is where Tola also has an advantage because he knows the course, and when you know the course in the closing stages of this race, that hasn't changed with stage with the revisions they've made to the course this year. So he's run this a couple of times now. He knows how to get this right in the run up to the finish, and the others are looking to him a little bit to let him dictate that.